Hello, welcome to the Game Maker Studio 2 project loading screen. Today I'm going to be going over a lot of code, and I am inviting anyone and everyone to join in and watch my pain. So without further ado, let's get going. Not responding. So we here have the attacker item set up. It is pretty basic at this point. This is the slot 5 action tree or decision tree. So now let's get going. We first declare some temporary variables. Action, what action the character is going to perform. Item, what item the character is going to use. Skill, something for skill. Intent, if it's a 1, it's an attack. 2, it's an item or healing. 3 is miscellaneous, and 4 is going to be for something that both hinders and heals. Now, that being said, the enemies don't have one of those, and even if they did, I'm not even sure if I would know how to code that. But I haven't got to the skill set yet, so you never know. I might be able to do that. So we go to slot 5 is selectable. That's equal to, if that's equal to 1. What this is going to mean is if they're currently alive, because enemies will not be selectable if they're dead. And that gets to the point of why we have a grid for knowledge of slot 5. Because slot 5 will know who all is presently in the battle, and that's set up at the start of the battle. This is their action tree, not that. So I'm gonna have to go back and check that, make sure everything's good there. They know what their slot number is, and this becomes important much lower down. They know their own attack, they know their own defense. Oddly enough, I have not used those values yet, and you can see if I do this. Ooh, we have a problem. So, slot 5 action tree. So this is gonna have to be changed out. Let's see how many of those are. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I know exactly where those are, and I will be able to fix those. One of the many reasons of going over code that you've done is to find things that you have messed up. So, slot 5 skill set is not here. So what we can do is we can change that. Since it is an if statement, we're going to copy this, my skill set. We're going to use that instead. Paste. Now it is a lot more that we can use this for pretty much anyone and everyone without having to change that. So that's good. Party defense average. Get a random number between 1 and 5. If it's less or equal to 4, we declare a action to be 1 we're going to attack. Then if action is equal to 1, we're going to repeat this a bunch of times. And we go, hey, if that... So let's see, if slot 1 is present, slot 1 HP is more than 0. Let's see if we want to move this. Yeah, that works. And then I think we need that here too then. And then here too. So we're gonna move this down to here. Now we have a ghost break statement. That was an alarm if you heard, and that was my time to go to lunch alarm, which I'm already going to lunch, and so there's that. And I'm just going to do this for a little bit until we get past these, because okay, and then that's a break. Then we go, hey, what if chance was equal to 5? Then we go, and we go into defense. Now we're going to go back all the way up here and look at it again. So we go 1 through 5 chance, and then we go 1 through 4 chance, which is who we're going to attack. And then 1, 2, 2, needs to be 2. See, I made some mistakes already, and the program didn't even notice. See, there's another one. This one needs to be 4. And then, okay, so there's that. Let's see. Chance equals 5. We are going to do defense. So instead of the primary target being 5, which we would have to change for the every other enemy, we're going to say this my slot. What that means is it is basically going to do 5, but in this case it is now using a variable, which is very good. Turn order. And we're going to change this to my slot as well. And now we're going to go back up, and we're going to see if I need to do that. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that to every one of these, too. Might seem fiddly to most of you, but I will there is a reason for this. So my slot, my slot. My slot. So turn orders of my slot. Is that the first one? Yes, that is the first one. My slot. My slot. My slot. Okay, I won't be able to change any of those. I want to get rid of that break. My slot. One final check. so before we get going, I want to check this and debug. I don't think it should crash, even though I have unassigned variables. That the code will never make it to that point. Especially if that's not the right enemy. That's the right enemy, or one of the right enemies. And then and it completed, action completed successfully. So we can close out of that, go back to the code, close out of that, close out of that. We can continue. So let's see, slot skill set is greater than 0, create enemies AP, enemies HP, enemies AP, HP values, AP values. Okay, so this entered the active slots data, or so. Then now we get to the other slots. So then we have, if slot 6 is present, slot A, okay, so this is enemies information list filled. So now we go to slot 5 skill set equals 1. in this case, what I have it as is a skill set of 0 can only attack or defend. A skill set of 1 can attack, defend, and use an item. Now, we do items first, and the reason is that way they can check if they need to use an item to do something. So, we're going to make a few lists. Temporary lists. Everything in this action tree is temporary for this turn only, because information on the battle changes so quickly. So if we have it checks to see if we have any items. If we have items, it's going to create a few lists. Recovers HP and then recovers AP ability points. And then we're going to make a grid. I might keep this grid, I might throw it away, but it doesn't really take up much space, so I might just keep it anyway. Then we declare an item index of 0. This is where at in the inventory it is currently looking. And the inventory being the list slot 5 through 13. So it goes there and goes, hey, is there a item at this location? What is its item ID? Then it says, hey, is that item ID greater than 0? And then we're going to get the grid value for the slot 5 through 13 items, which is the mega grid for all of the enemy items that they could possibly have. We're going to get its HP recovery and its AP recovery. And I think just going to be having to solve, yeah, okay. So then, if it has HP recovery greater than 0, we're going to add it to the list. And then we are going to put down on the grid HP recovery values for X is the item ID, and then HP recovery. Now, I might change this, and then we do the same thing for that. And I forgot we needed something here, so we're going to take the assign variable, and then we are going to go with item index. And we are going to add 1. So that means every single time it does this loop, it will check first for the index of 0, and then it will go through and it will check through all of the indexes going up until it runs out of items to check. The good thing about this is, since I have no item with an ID of 0, if it goes past the end, which it very well might, there ain't going to be a crash. It's just going to not do anything. The game not doing anything isn't bad per se, it's just not doing anything. So then there's that. Then we go to, after we fill up those items, we're going to do a random check again. This check this time is going for slot 5 coop, COOP. That's our short for slot 5 cooperation. So deciding to if they decide to help their friends or not. If it's bigger than that, that means they aren't. So if their HP is greater or equal to 75%, and less than 1%, less than 100%. If chance is greater or equal to temper, as in, are they going to do something aggressive or passive? In this case, this would be aggressive or protective. In this case, they're deciding to do something protective. And then it goes, hey, am I blinded? Am I poisoned? Am I weakened? Am I corrupted? All of these have to check no. Before it goes to this check, which is, hey, is there anyone performing an action? And this is first no. And then they go, okay, so we're going to check if there's anything that recovers HP. If there is, we're going to look at that. And then we are going to check how much it recovers. And then if the amount is greater than 0 or less than 150, that is a number that I just pulled out of the top of my head. So I might change that. We are going to break out of the loop. My slot. And then that. We do that. And I just realized something that I need to do. So this variable will be slot 5 turn, and that needs to be a 0, so that's good. That I checked that. We cannot use my slot for this because that is it's a specific variable for the turn system. And yes, I know I'm going all the way back up here. Maybe just faster to do this. Okay, slot 5 turn 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Okay, so it checks to see if the action counts greater than 0. In other words, more than one action is in the action queue, then it goes, hey, I might have to add something right there. Yeah, I'll have to add something right there again. Okay, so it goes, hey, we're gonna check this action index. If the acting slot's bigger than 4, in other words, it is one of the enemy slots that's acting. We get the turn action at that, although I'm not sure if I need that. I don't think I check that, but I do have the item ID check, skill check. I think I'm not gonna use that one, and the target one so what we want is action index. Two, 1, and 2 relative, and get rid of that. So it's within this action repeat. And if by any chance we don't need to do anything, we could break out of that loop and then break out of that loop. Then if action is required, we do all of this. My slot. The one thing I love about GameMaker is it has 2 different copy and paste buffers. One of them is for text, and the other one is for drag and drop commands, which is one of the reasons why I'm using drag and drop. Okay, so action count. So then they get the enemy status effect values. And so in this case, I use a very interesting control sequence, since I want them to have more than one option. So Let's say they have 3 status effects. They're blind, they're poisoned, and they're weakened. If this item they are going to use treats all of those, it will go into option A. If it treats 2 of them, it will go into option B. If it treats 1 of them, it will go into option C. And then if it treats 0, it'll go into option D, which I might need to change. Okay. So if they have a status effect bigger than 0, meaning they have a status effect. If there is no action in the action queue, they will declare an item index of 0. So they're looking at the first item in the list. They will go to their items, and they will look through all of the items that they currently have. Notice what I mean saying is they currently have. Their items are not infinite, they are finite, so enemies will have to use basically the same item system that you do. And so if the item ID is bigger than 0, it's gonna look through their items, treats blindness, poison, weakness, corruption. No, not now. This is on themselves, so they can't treat death. Just saying. This is something I'm gonna have to check whenever I go through the enemy deciding to use an item on someone else. If I'm blinded, I will check to see if it treats blindness. Now, if I'm not blinded, I will not do that check. So then item treats will still be 0 even if it treats blindness, because I'm not blinded. I don't need any of that. Poisoned, same thing. Weakened, corrupted. And so we go with option. So we check, okay, if option A is equal to 0, if item treats equals my status effect count, we will go with option A, and we will break out of this loop. We'll assign it item ID. And we go that. And you know what? For all others, I don't want to break out of the loop. And then okay, that's action count is equal to 0. If item ID is 0. There might be something wrong here. Let me check. So that's my status effect count. That's the action count. I want to check to make sure. Action count is greater than 0. there was something wrong. So this needs to go away. Okay. So as I forgot, and that is officially my break. So this is where I'm going to leave off. Well, not much. My HP percent is less than 0.25, or my HP percent is less than 0.25, and then chance is greater or equal to